Is this thing working? Um, the radio signal is terrible, but I suppose this will have to do for now.
I mean,
You're
Yeah,
sure
click
this
on the
works, right?
corner. Hit it on the corner.
Yeah.
It'll work.
Yeah.
I mean, like the light is
Okay.
on. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like push some buttons, turn some
Mm-hmm.
knobs. It's gonna work
Uh,
just fine. I know we're in space, but yeah.
uh, well, I could
Okay.
see ourselves at least.
Yep.
Yep. I suppose.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's let's start from here. All right. Good evening, everyone. You're tuning in to 199.9 FM, the only station for these ever changing times. You have me, Deimos, a lore enthusiast and artist, and I am joined by my fellow co hosts here.
Uh,
And
this is UV, also known as UncanonValley. Uh, Usually you would know me for like fan art and sometimes short videos.
Hello there, everyone. My name is ReddShifted, and I'm quite known around Twitter as the Reverse 1999 Fun Facts guy. I usually post there almost daily, about some random things that I find in a game, such as reference to certain media or some general fun facts or numbers about the game that I find rather interesting, and somehow people like it. Also an aspiring content creator and all that.
yes, of
Awesome.
course. Yes,
We
of
all
course.
clap.
And we all clap here. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And yes, this is episode one, and I am glad that you are here to listen to us ramble on about the game Reverse 1999 as a whole. In like many
uh,
ways,
we're
yes.
gonna ramble about as a whole this entire game.
No.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, that's gonna take us like 10 hours at the very least. 10
10
days,
hours is
actually.
not enough.
10 days.
Of course, 10 days or 9 days for the sake of it. It
Yeah.
right, but still, in many ways, right, Reverse 1999 stories have brought out really grounded and immersive stories, and every detail in it is written with a very clear passion from its devs. And from there, we want to slowly unravel these details from not just the stories themselves, but also the characters, the art, and even the way the story is told.
Yeah, and like
Mhm.
there's, as I said, there's so much to like go on and about. Like 9 days, I would say is still underestimating it, but still, we're gonna have to go through it one at a time, I suppose.
Yep, we should be. Like, before we started, I need to tell you this. Listeners, I need to tell you this that like only like a few seconds before this was live, we were just like rushing whatever we have collected for you just to make like explain all the little details in this one patch, and it was a lot. I'm gonna tell you this, it was a lot, and we kind of have to make it in two parts actually. This is actually
Yeah.
just the first part.
Yep. And yeah, in essence, we do want to do a deep dive of the story with our shared passion for the game as longtime players, and clearly, as you can tell, it's very clear,
It's very clear,
right?
like the 2 hour like timestamp is very daunting. I understand, and knowing that there's two parts of it, um, yeah, we're we like the game just a little bit. You might not be able to tell, but if you
We're a
read
little
between the
normal
lines, you
about
could
it,
tell.
we're kind of normal about it.
Yeah, pretty much. And yet, we have to focus at one patch at a time. So, of course, we will start off with the patch of the current the current patch in the time of we are recording, right? So the Midnight Whistle version 3.1. The Midnight Whistle is an interesting patch horror story where it takes the classics of the horror genre and puts them in the war-torn setting of the Balkans during 1912. We have Selma Wise from before her transformation investigating the train, the Daniel Dawn in suspicions of rumors of a vampire aboard the train, who we all know to be a beyond species after series of dusts. The mystery itself unravels as we read stories about the train and its passengers, most especially for our two main characters, Ruska and Corvus.
Yeah, following up 3.0 with 3.1 was kind of insane, honestly.
It was a
Yeah,
jump.
Yeah,
It was quite a jump. But
I'm
like
glad.
it's still on brand though because 3.0 was war. 3.1 is still war, like the aftermath of the war, but like civilian side.
Yeah, very much so.
mhm.
It's definitely much lighter than 3.0 without a doubt, which is why we're gonna be, which is why I'm really happy that we're gonna be discussing this one, you know? Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Technically, we actually have like another run. The first. This is not the first
That's
run, by
spoilers.
the way.
The spoilers.
Spoilers. This is not the first one. The first run we did of the podcast. This is the second one. The first one was 3.0, and it was a lot. It
Yeah, we
it
do
was
not
so
talk
heavy.
about that. That's a secret episode that they don't talk to you about, okay? There's a
Yes, the
secret
secret
Alright.
episode
episode
that they
nobody
don't
wants to
talk to you
talk
about,
about.
and we don't talk about.
Yeah.
It's never gonna see the light of day anyways. So it's like, don't
We're
keep your
gonna
hopes up.
bury them.
Yeah, 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 but yeah, pretty much. We'll be going into version 3.1 into two parts, as it's been mentioned earlier, with
Yeah.
its storytelling, its art, and its themes being the core of both of the episodes. So from here, I suppose we can start from its storytelling, right?
Yep.
Mm.
I guess we're gonna go start off with the storytelling, and in the manner that this is gonna be presented, we're gonna have a little bit of a presentation. No, it's a bit of a podcast, but it's more of a podcast, with a little bit of video here and there for our listeners to see, and just to simply explain even more forward how much we really have dug deep into the story, its themes, and all that. But still, you guys have anything else to say?
Well, I am very excited for the presentation because I know because let me tell this first because we do not know like what the hell each of us has prepared. That's the fun part.
All right.
Like we have prepared something. It's kind of like a Christmas present like swapping. We don't know what each of us has in terms of like what we are like in an expertise in.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
I am an artist. I'm freelance concept artist and an animator. My expertise is in art and concept, and they have no idea how much I have to dive deep just for two
Yeah, we
characters.
know each other's general feel, but we don't know the general topic of it. So, I guess with that in mind, we
We
should
have,
really start. Moving to the
yeah,
next recording.
Let's go.
All right then. We have now swapped places. I am now in the bottom screen, I guess now. That makes sense.
Awesome.
Um, just a bit of a hiccup in the thing, but as I was saying, I will be going first in terms of presentations, and just it's quite an honor to be first, I guess, to start this all
Mm.
off, give it off with a quite of a quite of a bang, but just since this is the first, let's try to ease ourselves in and just have ourselves a general perspective of the patch in general. So as previously said, the Midnight Whistle is an event story ranging from a few weeks back to a few weeks after. This episode is running about 5 hours like the usual, but um in general, like in from the entire perspective of the entire patch, I quite liked it. Like I don't know what else to say to start us off, but I quite liked it. Um, I know that that's
I mean, it's pretty fun though, especially since both of us watch uh, a movie before this patch. Before like watching the story for this event. We both watched the movie. Deimos, you also watched the movie.
Yeah, we
We
watched
know
the movie.
what's
I'm
up.
gonna get through
Wait.
the movie later, but like, um, I think
Not gonna
both
say
of
what
us
which
also
movie.
like
Like yes.
both of us also like read the event as it was going out in global. So no, were you spoiled on CN side or no?
No.
Have read the story in CN side,
Yeah, I
I
know that
think.
you did, but like, I don't know about UV though.
I think I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. On this when it was like out on CN, I did not look at the story at all because I was busy with some other things
Yeah,
at
like
the time.
that's the same for me. When like I generally don't go into like CN and all that, so like I'm generally unspoiled. But like, I think it's a consensus that this is a quite a good patch. Like generally in like global side, but even still, one of the things that Demas mentioned earlier that quite caught my attention was, in the description of having it be an interesting patch horror story. So like, um quite in a similar way to the other stories being of course Sniper in Green Lake and Haunted Highway 1.2 and 2.1. 3.1 joins the foray of horror stories that I mean like Halloween themed stories that arrive every so often, but at the same time I kind of struggle with calling it Halloween stories because like well, they don't appear in
I
Halloween.
mean,
They appear in Christmas for us.
technically is a Christmas
Yeah,
uh event,
it's a
but
Christmas event.
also horror.
Yeah, it's
It's Nightmare Before Christmas. Everyone loves
yeah,
that
it's
movie.
Nightmare Before Christmas, but like I don't want to call Route 77 the Haunted Highway the Die Hard of Christmas films, you know? That feels
The
wrong.
Die
Yeah.
Hard. Oh wow, I love that movie
Okay.
though. It's such a meme.
But yeah, as I was saying, like this is not the first time it happened. This is now the third of the trilogy of like horror stories that we go through every so often. And
On
the
Christmas.
thing is, I I when I first played through the
Yeah.
story and like quite a while after it, I kind of
Mm-hmm.
struggled with the fact that it is a horror story because, like, with all due respect, 2.1 horror story true and true. Tuesday is horrifying. The entire horror elements are there, and like references to Bates Motel and all that. 1.2 though not as
Yeah.
much of a horror story. I'd argue has so much horror themes, like the entire idea of horror filming in 70s and 80s horror in it that at the end of the day it is a horror story. Meanwhile, the Midnight Whistle
Yeah.
I feel is the most disconnected among all three of them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Mm.
it feels more like a story, but like there are horror there like horror aspect, but it's more like the angst and also like the things that happen like to the characters and all that. It's more like what do you call it? It's like a bedtime story like
Yeah.
folklore or something in that term
Yeah.
rather than like a
Yeah,
horror
it's
movie.
something along those lines. Like, in my mind, when I first played it, I considered it to be a drama first and foremost.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think like that's the best way to describe it at the time, at least. So, like, when I finished it,
Mhm.
one of my first thoughts is that is it really a horror story? So, with that, I want to present the idea of my presentation, which is we're going to be analyzing the story patch from that perspective, if that perspective really is a horror or
Mm.
not. And to do that, we're going to be needing to analyze vampire media and other possible inspirations and their parallels with the Midnight Whistle. Once again, my name is ReddShifted. It's quite really so fun to be finally doing this, and oh my god, I'm really excited to like share with all of you like the books that I have started reading, the movies that I've watched, and just generally the things that I research and all that, just to see how really in depth the themes of vampirism and horror media have penetrated through this entire thing. So with that, of course, we need to go through the things that are referenced directly in the game first. So, like in part
Mhm.
14 and part 19, we have two poems, which is the Conqueror Worm and the Fountain of Blood. So, it's a bit odd, really, like the Conqueror Worm and the Fountain of Blood appearing in the story, like suddenly in blood red text as a chapter appears, like ding. Like I think it had like the
Mhm.
the sound effect that they usually use. But yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I feel
Um,
like it was interesting that they reference it's not even like technically horror poetry, but
yeah,
it's more like just poetry in general, just gives like the squirms to people.
yeah. Like
yeah,
more than anything, the poetry kind of provides imagery rather
mm,
than serving a point about vampires and all that,
I
because neither of these are like
mean,
horror
it's
poetry.
Edgar.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's Edgar Allan
It's
Poe.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah,
it's Edgar Allan Poe, of
Bro, it's
course.
all about imagery.
yeah, it's all about
Hmm.
imagery and all that. But like, even with the second one, like the Fountain of Blood imagery and all that, but still, um, I
Mm.
guess just to get started off, once again, Edgar Allan Poe. The first one is The Conqueror Worm by him in 1873, and in general, just to summarize the entire poem, it's a rather short poem actually compared to say The Raven. But if I start saying poems in the first episode of this podcast, everyone's gonna tune out, so I'm not gonna do that.
Yep.
um,
Uh,
Mm,
so The Conqueror Worm basically
man.
generally there's this ball of people like having fun around there and celebrating, and then I wouldn't say celebrating actually, but still, um,
Mm-hmm.
there's this ball, and then in this ball there's a performance by so-called mimes being
Ah.
controlled by God on high, and these mimes they go around chasing a quote-unquote phantom that always escape their grasp, and they're always running around in circles and they're never going to catch this phantom. And then finally, while this ball is taking place,
Ah.
this gigantic shape just emerges out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, this conqueror worm eats every single one in the ball. That's basically the gist of it, and
Mm.
I think it's rather obvious what the imagery is trying to impart.
mm,
Yeah. I
Yeah, like
mean, I feel like I understand why they chose this poem because of the story being about like someone well in this case Rabushka controlling like the shadows and also like chasing around and stuff. And like it's understandable why they choose this.
yeah, like it's a
mhm,
pretty good one, and um, that's one interpretation I actually hadn't thought of because one of the easiest interpretations and the most common one actually about this one is about how um life is a bit of this meandering, running around in circles and like going for things, and yet at the same time, these mimes are being controlled by a higher power, something you could never aim to understand, and how your chase for it is kind of a bit useless. And then at the end, here comes the Conqueror Worm, an unstoppable force that you can never understand, and yet, and then just ends all of it. So, like, your life just spent
Mm.
meandering, and then here comes death. So like that's like a
Yeah.
common interpretation of the conqueror worm, and like
Mm.
but I saw this one other interpretation that I
mm,
actually quite really liked, and which is that even if the worm is dead in a way, um, the way that Poe wanted to impart it is that even if death comes on, and like even if that like kills you and ends your life, sometimes it's a
Mm.
bit better, it's a better ending rather than spending your life hopelessly running around and then like chasing those phantoms and then never getting to them. So in a way, that is better than living in that self-perpetuating hell created by another being. And like the last line of this poem is that the play is tragedy, man,
Mm.
and its hero, the conqueror worm. The conqueror worm is considered a hero against the tragedy of living. So like that's one thing that I found rather interesting, and what's more interesting is in the first stage of the story, you know, we have someone that's trying to run away from
Oh,
everything, and in the end, a giant hurtling mass goes after him and kills him.
ah, yes, the worm.
Yeah.
The worm.
Ah, yes, the worm. The
The worm couldn't
made of
do all
steel
of
too.
this.
Yeah, the worm got a
Honestly,
few
I
more
was very
upgrades.
hey, I
I
was very
wonder.
surprised when like the event just started and already oh wow, there's some just someone dead like immediately. I was like, oh man, just you see, not even a murder, it's just an accident really. But like, wow,
It's
that's quite
certainly
the
a way to
opening.
start an event. Like I think Reverse has a really good like a way of starting stories. And like in the very first node, whether it's like a mutiny starting or an electric shock therapy and all that, like they're really good at it.
Oh,
But yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, it's always like starting with a bang. Let's go.
It's so good. And yet this as well. Yeah, that really pulls in the reader into actually immersing themselves in the story. Like it's shock value, yes, but
Yeah.
it pulls your attention in enough to be able to actually see what is happening in the story.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're like awake. Like you're just like awake, like what happened? Oh heck, someone dead. Oh man.
oh, that's great. That's wonderful. You know, getting ran over in stage one.
Immediately. Like
uh,
just
Uh
stage
huh.
one, just like, oh wow, someone's dead already. Police, I guess. Calling 911.
but yeah, I guess that also like applies to the suddenness of the Conqueror Worm. But yeah, that's more or less it for the Conqueror Worm. To discuss next, the Fountain of Blood. The Fountain of Blood is actually originally from French by Charles Baudelaire, and
Mm-hmm.
um, the thing is, since it's in French, it's a rather old poem. There's many different translations of it, and each translation has a different interpretation. And oh god, it was a nightmare to research. And like this one is
Oh.
I, as far as I could tell, this one is a unique translation. I couldn't find it anywhere else. And
Mm-hmm.
like as I said earlier, they use these poems to convey imagery specifically. So you know, like blood flowing through the city and all that. So it might really just be for aesthetic purposes, really. But one interpretation, I mean, like one interpretation of one version, um, had read the blood as like has read the blood flowing out of the author's body and them not
Oh.
realizing it
Mm,
and not being able
Huh.
to realize the wound. They just allow it to flow
mm,
out and um, quench the parched mouths of man and beast, like feed it out to the others. So, and for me, that's like
Huh.
an easy connection to make from that is how Innerbushka's story is like she's hurting a lot, you know, but
Yeah,
like she doesn't
yeah.
realize it. She doesn't realize it, and she continues to live on the fantasy of her entire family being vampires and all that. And during that time, in that very much hopeless time, she finds a way to utilize that to also help the grieving of other people and all that. Um, but in the end of the poem of the Fountain of Blood, um, really it's just she's still bleeding in the end, and it's still gonna hurt, and yeah, it's gonna be a while until it stops bleeding on its own. It's gonna scab. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's the Fountain of Blood.
mhm.
I mean, it's interesting. When the text appears, I think the Fountain of Blood was like during like really
Stage
almost at
19.
the end. Yeah, and I was like, okay, sudden poetry,
Yeah, it's like
creepy,
sudden
but
poetry.
yeah, just like suddenly poetry.
And
I
like I
thought we were
think
going
they
to be
used
hunting vampires.
French in like in the
Hey,
printed version.
okay, look, Reverse just really like the French.
They clearly do.
Really can't do anything about it.
Um, uh huh. For some reason, they like the French a little too much.
Yeah.
I'm
But it's
saying
okay.
this without having to like think about the next patch. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying this.
No. There's
Just like
nothing
saying
yet
this.
for the next patch when this releases. No one talk about the next patch.
No,
All right.
no, nothing happened.
Nothing happens in the next patch. Anyway, one other thing, of course, so a bit of a context for our dear listeners. We watched the Murder on the Orient Express, the 2017 version. I know, like horrible. You should have watched the 74 version. It's fine. But the Murder on the Orient Express is, of course, one of the most popular things that happened on a train, like fiction stories on a train. It's by Agatha Christie in 1934, and generally it's a murder mystery. It's by the mother of all murder mysteries, Agatha Christie. God bless her heart. And it's one of the most commonly referenced in general media. And as we can see, we have a few references here, like Arbuthnot and Lady Dragomiro's satire in the story. But I think generally, aside from those surface level references, one of the more interesting parallels between the story and the book or the film, whatever you saw first, is of course when it comes to the ending. I'm not gonna spoil the ending of the Murder on the Orient Express, but in the end of the story, Samuel Weiss just basically helps simplify
I quotes
or
it.
forge the report that there are no vampires in the Danube Dawn. What do you mean? Our intelligence is faulty. There are no vampires on board. And in the same way, in the ending of Murder on the Orient Express, our main character, our beloved mustache twirling Hercule Poirot, just goes, I have concluded that there is no murderers on this train. Or like, not that, but like, he just says,
Like,
the
yes, there is no
murderer,
killer.
yeah, there is no killer
There's
in
no
this
killer.
train. Like, he went out into the wilderness. Like, the killer went in during the snowbreak and stabbed the guy and then went immediately out. So the killer is not currently on this train. And that's quite an interesting parallel, I guess. It's way more deeper than most Murder on the Orient Express like references, and not even sure if that's an intention, but still, I think that's an interesting parallel.
I wanna point out, right? It kind of makes it funny now thinking about it because it does also parallel the little tidbit of Semmelweis beating up some of the soldiers in wilderness.
Oh my god. Yeah, that did happen. Because
Oh
in
god.
the movie, there was like an action scene. And I was like, there's an action scene? As someone who has read like Agatha Christie, I was like, wait, there's an action scene? Really? I was like, I understand why, because it's a movie. It's not the same as a book. But they're like, oh my god. I'm seeing Poirot being on action. That's insane.
But yeah, like the
Like,
movie has mixed opinions. Like it's kind of branog, but still,
I mean, it's fun though.
it's fun. Like I had fun. That's the important part. Same with this event. But aside from that, I don't think there are any other literary references, like direct literary references in this event. I mean, like there's the book The Midnight Whistle, but it's an AI slop book from the same year. So like I'm not considering that. We're not gonna be
Yeah,
talking about
I
that.
mean, yeah, I mean, there's like Dracula. That counts something.
Yeah, that
You
counts
know,
or something. I'll
Dracula.
talk about Dracula a bit
There's
later.
also like other literatures, but I'm gonna leave that to you
Yeah.
because I know you probably research about it.
Yes, which is why after this we're gonna be heading into vampire media next immediately. Like, if we're not gonna get anything more from the train, we're going to go to vampires. And there's not actually a lot of vampire stories on a train, surprisingly enough. Well, there is one. It's a bit niche, I guess. It's the Horror Express in 1972. It's not really a vampire film technically per se. It's about this frozen guy that they thought was dead that they brought into a train for
Oh.
transport, and frozen guy gets
Oh.
unfrozen, kills people. Apparently it's an alien.
Oh.
But the similarities come from the fact that the guy has red eyes when he's killing someone, and
Also, it's that the infected guy in
yeah.
the events.
He could also infect other people and then like bring them back to life. So that's the main similarity I would say.
Oh, that is a good reference.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's definitely a product of the 70s. I wouldn't say I recommend it. Like, it's a fun watch, but still. And it has like other non-similarities to like when the guy kills someone, it like completely smooths out their brain. So like, yeah.
Whoa!
Oh,
I feel like one of the characters on that train can do that, but I'm not gonna tell which one.
oh.
We're not gonna do slander on our first
I
episode.
No,
It's
not
rude.
slander. I love
Oh,
that character.
Alright. But like aside from that,
okay, yeah.
there's one very recent story involving vampires on a train, and that is of course Murder on the Warp Express by Limbus Company. I have not seen Murder on the Warp Express. I'm not gonna talk about it that much. That said, the only one thing that I know about it is there's a character named Cassetti, which is another Agatha Christie Murder on the Orient Express
The
reference.
guy.
And I guess every single time you do a train story, you have to reference Agatha Christie. But aside from that, there's no vampires on trains. Unfortunately, I don't know. I guess they didn't get
Sad.
the invite, and they aren't allowed in. But
I mean, I feel like it sounds like to be on like space. Judging from the theme, I don't know. I don't play Limbus, man.
no, it's
It just looks
vampires
like
on a
it's
train.
from like
Mhm.
space.
Vampires on a train. But like, if we're not getting any vampires on a train, and we're not getting anything from train itself, I guess it's now time to actually delve deep into actual vampire territory, like the most famous vampire media of all time. Of course, I'm talking
Let's
about
go.
Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2, based on the books by
Bro,
Stephanie May.
come on. Really? Y'all, you wanna go with Twilight? Oh,
I have to mention it at least once, okay? Of course, I'm talking about Dracula, a novel by Bram Stoker on 1897.
Expecting Dracula. You came with fucking Twilight. Oh my god. I fell for that. That was
Yeah.
my fault. Bruh.
Alright, I'm talking about Dracula. I mean, Dracula has been mentioned a few times by Rabuska herself. There's a lot that goes into the mythos of it, but the version by Bram Stoker is, well, it's quite foundational, as most people would call it. It sets out the rules of vampire fiction, like you gotta cut off its head, like put garlic in its mouth, and like holy relics, like holy water and all that. And like I didn't actually notice until I started reading it, but apparently there's Van Helsing was introduced in this book. I thought it was another book. Like, ugh. It's surprising how much like vampire media gets led back to this book, and I didn't even realize it. But aside from that,
I mean-
Dracula, the thing about it is that it's gothic horror, and it's also a bit of a thriller. And like aside from the usual differences like of what we now currently know as vampire media, there's nothing that much really coming out of Dracula, unfortunately. Which is why I went to a bit of an older piece, which is Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu in 1872. I'm sorry for butchering that. I am so sorry. And like, unfortunately, I also got the same thing, which is gothic horror. And the difference is that there's a bit less on the vampire side. It's more so a personal story rather than a thriller and all that. And I guess the thing that I got from this is the bit of a difference between male and female vampires of Carmilla and Dracula, of course. With Carmilla being being more emotionally connected to her prey and all that. Meanwhile, Dracula is a bit more violent, relying more on servanthood and his underlings to take control of him, similar to like how I would say is to Aima and Robuska, and then we have Piros on the other side with his command over his entire like people in the patrol station. So that's kind of the main thing that I got from both Dracula and Carmilla, which is not much, but it really does show how foundational these two works are in the general of like both gothic and vampire horror. But yeah, aside from that though, as I said, they're both gothic horror, which doesn't exactly. I mean, like I would say the Midnight Whistle is very much gothic in some aspect, but it's quite different from what I would say is Eastern European vampires. So, I at this point, I was in a bit of a loss because I don't know how to proceed next. I tried the general references that the game provided, and there's not much I could get there. And I tried the vampires on a train. There's not much media there either. And I tried with the foundational work of vampires. I couldn't get much there either.
Oh.
So I had to go thinking, is there possibly a vampire-related piece of media released quite recently, I would say, that is actually a
Recently.
period piece and more so an analysis of the setting, you know? Like, because more than vampires, the Midnight Whistle really is all about the situation in the Balkans during the 1912s. And
Okay.
I think I got it. Do you guys have a guess?
Is it is please don't say Twilight.
I'm not gonna say Twilight.
No,
I'm not gonna say
please do
Twilight.
not say Twilight.
It's Twilight too, but
Interview with the Vampire? Question mark.
That's one of the things that I was previously going to discuss, but I ended up cutting out of the script.
It's one
but-
of them. There are multiple.
No, it's one thing. Interview with the Vampire used to be in my script, but I took it out, unfortunately.
Oh.
But
okay.
I don't think anyone's gonna get it. When I mean recent, I mean really recent.
Okay.
I'm talking about the 2025 film Sinners,
Please?
directed by Ryan Coogler.
Oh, okay. You know what, Cook?
Yeah,
Cook.
exactly. So
Actually, Cook.
yeah, exactly. When I said period piece, I mean period piece. So a bit of a disclaimer, of course. Sinners is a very deep and complex film. I really recommend everyone, including you two, do your homework after this to watch this movie.
Yeah.
It's really
Right.
good.
You know what? I almost guessed like Hotel Transylvania.
Oh my god. We're done with
Not the
Hotel
I know
Transylvania.
there's an entire server that's gonna hunt me down if I ever say that.
We're not gonna go Hotel
No.
Transylvania, but yeah, as I said,
but
go watch the film. It's really, really good. And
the music
the
is
film
really
is not
great.
one-to-one with the Midnight Whistle. Like, there's some themes that are only going to be discussed in the film because it is a discussion of black culture in the 1930s and all that. And it's not gonna be a one-to-one, so just a bit of a disclaimer there. I don't want to be killed by the first episode, but generally, for those who haven't seen it, Sinners is a vampire horror set in the 1930s in the 1930s, and it's just general experience of black people in plantations and how they get through it, and then here comes the vampire. That's the best I could do for it. I mean, best description I can give it. But generally, aside from being a very good film, I have seen a lot of similarities from Sinners and The Midnight Whistle solely because both of them, as I said, period pieces that deal more with the setting than actual vampires. And for that, I want to introduce Sinners into three parts, which is like for three characters and three themes specifically. So for the first one, we have this guy. I love this guy. His name is Delta Slim. He is played by Delroy Lindo, I believe, and generally he is a blues player. And our main character Sammy is also a blues player that is trying to Sammy is a guy from a church that plays music there due to his father, and he wants to also play blues music. So he comes up to this professional blues player and says that he wants to start a juke joint with the other main two characters of the film, and he wants his help. And one of the first responses that this guy gives to Sammy is that, "What do you know about the history of the blues?" And like the blues is a very quite like a widely deep subject, but that one line kind of just reminded me of the idea that of bit like between Piros and Robuska, there's this idealized sense of what vampirism is to Robuska as to what really Piros experienced himself due to being a vampire. And to me, that's a bit of like the idealism that Sammy had in the movie, and also the experience that Delta Slim had. And in addition to that, we're talking about the blues here, one of the most influential I would say genres of music of the time that exceeded up until now, and it's really about um how the blues had the power of music to connect people to both loss and the past. Because in the film, Delta Slim had this moment where he was just simply describing about how he won something, and then people realize I mean people realized that he won something, so they accused him of a crime because he was black at the time, and then there was an entire lynching, and he was just simply telling this on, and at the end of it there was silence, and then he broke that silence by going on about the blues, like singing the blues. And to me, that's kind of the same way that Rubuska handled it in her character story, in the way that there's just this awful thing that happened, and yet she continues to move onward with her music. Like, granted, her own method of coping is not exactly healthy, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's her trying to make light of a situation through music, and I think that's how I really saw the similarities of the music with the vampirism itself. It's a bit of a stretch, I admit, but I think it hits the same tones that um it hits enough of the same tones that it's understandable. Um what's there else to say about the
Mm.
Slim? Yeah, I really like this guy surprisingly enough. It was a highlight for the first half of the film. But the highlight for the second part of the film is all of the characters really, but it's more so about the antagonist. Which his name is Remick. He is an Irish vampire, and he is our vampire for the movie. And red eyes and all that. As to be expected, he is played by not Josh O'Connor. I was about to say Josh O'Connor from Knives Out. But no, it's Jack O'Connell.
Oh my god.
Um, but
Mhm.
generally, he is a character that is wrong and has been wronged, similar to how Pyros is. And similar in character, he was previously Irish, and when the Catholics went over to Ireland, they blamed his entire family and killed him, and now he's over at 1930s America. So similarly, he is someone that has been heavily discriminated, and now in kind, he is trying to convert people to his cause. Like, um, one
Oh.
of the main things that he says when trying to enter the joint, because vampires can't come in without permission, so he has to ask for permission first. It's um, can't we all be a family for this one moment? And can't we all
Oh.
be a family is also something that Pyros directly said, we will all be one happy family
Yeah.
and all that. And
Yeah, just
Yeah.
bro was so obsessive one thing, and it's just yeah, dude,
yeah,
no.
There's
Mr. Guy.
there are a lot of layers to it, but at the same time, it's still something that is he's still carrying out something that shouldn't be done because it's immorally wrong,
yeah,
at least in the eyes
Yeah.
of most people, anyway.
yeah. And I think Pyros ideals kind of align with the same as I would say Rennick, because Rennick actually believes in equality, and that's why he's trying to put
Uh-huh.
as much people into his cause. He hates the KKK. Um
Mhm.
and
Uh-huh.
I guess
Mm-hmm.
one of the main points of vampire media just in general, especially modern vampire media, is how they use blood as a form of connection. Family is one of the strong themes generally in most vampire media, and which is quite ironic considering that blood of my blood, vampires, they put their blood into
Mm.
you so that you become together. like uh, that's kind of a thing, and that's also something that you see in the Midnight Whistle with um literally Pyros calling I'm a blood of his blood and all that. Um, but aside from that,
Yeah.
Feel that.
yeah,
Feel from that. Oh, okay, sorry. I feel that it's also the same with Rubuska in that one specific scene in the main story of her trying to convince herself, right, that her
Mm.
family's gonna come back as actual vampires, and that little gory or horrible tidbit of her smearing her own blood into their mouths, and
Ah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure. Yeah, I remember this detail, and it's yeah, blood
Yeah,
of my blood.
yeah,
It's
it's really a main theme of vampires is blood, and you can't really talk about blood without actually talking about, like familial blood and all that, and beyond familial blood, like blood of connections and everything along the lines of that. Um, and
Mhm.
of course, the last part that I want to talk about in Sinners is, of course, you can't have a movie without the protagonist. As I said, this is Sammy, and um, the first few shots of the film is Sammy going back to church completely battered and seeing his father. It's basically the start of the movie is the end of the movie, and everything in between is the events that happen between it. And basically, when he goes into church, he is asked by his father, do you still want, like, not really asked, but like, do you still want to keep playing the blues? Because blues is considered devil music by his father. Like, just go back to the farm, just keep farming and all that. Don't go out with those other people trying to cause trouble and all that. And just generally, in the end of the film, you see his decision in the end, which is despite everything that he's gone through, despite all of the trauma, he's still going to keep playing the blues. And I think that also personally for me echoes the end of The Midnight Whistle in a way that even still, after all that has happened, after still realizing that she's not a vampire technically, after seeing what Piros has done due to being a vampire and all of the discrimination that comes alongside it, she still chooses to live out that fantasy of being a vampire. And to some extent, that's the main parallel that I saw, like the very first time in these movies,
Mm-hmm.
is that just that decision to keep your convictions and to stick by it regardless of
Mm-hmm.
what the trauma that you have gone through is.
I feel
Um,
like she's
Mhm.
re uh like reshaping what she meant as like a being a vampire, because it's more about like protecting others than just like being like a vampire and
yeah,
drinking blood and all that.
yeah, like she
Her
has a
meaning of
deeper understanding
vampire
now.
is different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like similar to the start, like what?
it's not.
Um,
Mm,
oh yes, go on, go on.
Yes. It's like that one really popular internet quote or something, or I think it's um that quote from Undertale or something, where it's like, despite everything, it's still you. I
Yeah,
think is the word,
Uh, I feel
and
like
yeah, it.
this is the theme,
Mhm.
the main theme for like characters who are mineral affiliates. Because minerals, this is what
yeah,
happens when uh basically a stone, the stone element has is up against fate, and what they do is that they refuse to change, and that is the
yeah.
mineral affiliates
It's stasis,
characters.
but in a good way,
Mhm.
which is like mineral. But
Yeah.
we're gonna be discussing the entire latest thing again. Oh god.
No, we are not going to
We're
No,
not
be
gonna be
doing
doing
that.
that. But
no.
yeah, it's quite similar to like how at the start of the movie he was like he didn't know much about the blues, as Delta Slim said, and then now that he has a deeper understanding of it, he still continues on to play it. And at the very end of the film post-credit sequence, of course there's a post-credit sequence. It's a film from the 2020s. He's all grown up. It's now the 90s, and he has an entire life's experience at the end of it. And generally, he is asked by one character from that experienced that traumatic event, which was um what do you think of that night? Those are not verbatim, but um he replies with, I still shake awake from my sleep every so often because of everything that happened that night. But before hell broke loose, that was the best day of my life. Like, despite all the trauma, despite everything that happened, that was still the best day of his life. And this older him was played by Buddy Guy, which is an actual legendary blues performer. But I think that echoes in the same way as Robuska, in a way that despite all of the trauma, despite everything that happened, like in stage 20, she saw the face of her mother in the soldiers, yet despite that, she remains resolute, and the
Yeah.
immediate next moment after is all about the sunshine and the rainbows and all that, and how he recounts her experiences not as someone who had to stare at that sagging, like decaying face, but as someone who went through these mountains, ventured through the river, and even rode a train. And I think that it's just such a poignant thing to just simply realize, like internalize all of that experiences and turn it into a positive thing, you know?
I mean, it's a lot with what Rabushka went through, especially like the war and stuff. And to see that character actually like climb up out of basically their grave. Basically the grave, the mental
Literally and
grave they were
figuratively.
in. Yeah.
Mm.
And just like say it outright to like the ghost of her mother that yeah, I was happy. I was happy, like really.
Yeah. It's like
It's
it's a
it's such a
really good scene.
good scene.
And like a good closer to her character altogether. Like despite everything, I'm still me and I'm happy about everything. I mean not everything, but like the experiences that I've had that built me towards who I am. And like that's quite a long quote, but I understand why they had to shorten it for Undertale. um but yeah, as I
Mhm.
said, those are the three things that I wanted to talk about from Sinners. Go watch the movie. It's a good movie, I promise. It's worth your time. Come on. It's also a musical. Like it's a lot of things. So we really wandered off from the original topic, which is like, is it really a horror story? Because once again, there's a lot of horror
Uh
elements into it, and not really a lot of horror elements into it. Like there's some aspects of it, like the vampires and like the spooky thing in Carriage Number 13. But
mhm.
um, by then at the start I struggled to really call it that because of those reasons. And once
Mhm.
again, Sinners is not nominated by Golden Globes as horror; it's classified as drama, which is another thing against it. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's really the point of what horror is, which is it's meant to terrify, it's meant to horrify, and it's meant to scare. And sometimes those things can't really be done in the usual jump scare or the usual blood and gore and all that. Sometimes it's done through the lens of the same way Sinners is considered a horror movie in some aspects, in which is that
Uh,
it provides context to a situation that actually happened. Sure, not the fantastical elements and all that, sure, not the vampires, but the actual events in history in which people suffered through. Because the villain in Sinners is, like the antagonist is, of course, going to be Remick the vampire, but the
mhm.
overarching villain and all that is, well, the last thing that happened near the end of the movie was shooting a bunch of KKK members, so you could assume what the villain is. That being said, the same way I could say is for the Midnight Whistle. Like, beyond the usual, like, oh, it's a vampire, oh, it's a vampire here and that, at the end of the day, it's a period piece with vampires in it. And being a period piece, it has to show the horrors of the Balkan War. And I think it appropriately did that, and the horror comes from that. Similar to how one of my favorite like games of all indie games of last year was Conscript, which is about a horror game about World War One. This is a horror story about the Balkan War and the things that horrified its citizens. And what a thing to follow up 3.0 with once again. I think I'm gonna end my presentation with that, and oh boy, I need quite a bit of time.
I mean, uh yeah. Oh wow. I mean, would I say it's like a horror story? I mean, there are horror elements. They talk about anecdotes of horror story, but I feel like the event itself is about how the horror story that is being told is not really not the same as the actual thing, and it's mostly like about like looks can be deceiving, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's many things really. But I'll leave it up to
Yeah.
Demos for later to discuss all of those things and themes.
Yeah.
For now,
Mhm.
yeah, I've been Red. Thank you very much.
Let's go. Now, we'd like to thank you, Red, for your research and analyze on the story. That's a lot of research. There's probably more, but like we had to like listen so it doesn't
Yeah.
go over like an hour. It's gonna be
Yeah,
very
I
much.
mean, like, I had fun, you know? I had fun watching 10 movies.
Yes. 10 movies for one event. It's not even a main chapter. God damn.
Oh man.
Game is horrible.
Okay. Okay, come on. Here's with me, the freelance concept artist. And I'm gonna be talking about the concept art of the two main playable characters. And also the concept art, and also talking about the little details you might have missed or you have already like figured it out for the funsies. And okay, if you have seen my screen, I am opening up on Clip Studio Paint because it'd be a lot easier for me to like doodle. Okay, you're gonna see Rubushka, I1 and I2, which is you can see like the first thing in terms of like character design for me is the silhouette. The silhouette, the readability of the silhouette. How you gonna see like if it's good or not is you look at the silhouette and you can immediately tell what like who is this character. Like for Ravushka, like it's really good. Like you can see her caval, you can see the
Tassels.
the patterns, yeah, the tassel, the patterns. You can see her boots, see her trousers. Like you can see her coat. And one of like the main rules in it's like a standard for like character design is that one side of the silhouette needs to be simple, which is this side here, while the other side will be the one doing the detail and storytelling. You can see like a lot of like spaces here and like tiny little details. The reason why it has to be like this is because the one side that being simple needs to be the one grounding for like the other parts that is like a lot more detail to be the one telling the story, which the artist did a wonderful job on it. Like you can see like the hand pose, everything is like in position. You see like the curve line of like the body art also, which is like really good. Haven't even talked about the choices in like designing Rubushka in the way she is, like white hair, red eyes, fangs.
Color
Like
scheme.
this is a character that you look at her and you immediately thought, ah yes, a vampire.
Yeah,
And
vampire.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is like the character that you look, ah yes, a vampire, immediately. But there's like so much more than that because like besides like being a vampire and having a cultural reference of like Bulgarian, is that she has a caval, and by like narrative and design wise, she's supposed to be like the Pied Piper,
Yeah, but
the one
the
leading
Hamelin.
the shadows. Yeah, she's basically like the Pied Piper of Hamlin. But instead of like leading rats and children, she's leading vampires
Like
and also
shadows.
shadows. Yeah, she's the shepherd of the shadows. Her call is like culture-wise like associated with shepherds specifically. So that's why it's really important when it was mentioned in the story what it is. Now I'm gonna go and take a look at her splash art. Her splash art is also really good.
Yeah.
If you can see like the lines, you can see like okay, we have like straight line, and there's like the center point over here with the lines from like the moonlight shining in. You can see her
Pointing
Urimo,
over to her.
which is yeah, it's also like in the focal point. It's in it is in the rule of thirds. So basically,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be talking like the rule of thirds.
Rule of thirds it.
Like you can see so many little details if I like zoom in. You see a couple. You can see like the outfit. You can see like the shadow. Her
Oh,
familiars, quote unquote.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, you can see this and this, and this is like in the cemetery, which is very fitting
Yeah.
with her story.
Mhm.
You
Like,
also see the roses.
It's a bit embarrassing to admit, but like, I didn't even realize that it was in a cemetery until like last week.
Oh my god. Bro!
I didn't realize.
No! Bro!
I think it was right in your face, Red. Like,
Yeah. I mean, like, this is
Red,
why I'm not
no.
the artist.
Don't worry, I am the artist and I will point it out for all of you. Like, okay. Like, you need to understand that the concept for Rabushka is being vampire, Bulgarian vampire, and Pied Piper. The shepherd, basically.
Mm.
And with Bulgarian, there's like a lot of symbolism in there because we have seen the rose damask.
Yeah,
I'm
the
probably
flower.
butchering the names, but basically the national flower of Bulgaria, and you can see them in like her art, her splash art. Also, you can see like the berries she's eating, which is really understandable because her name is Babushka. That means a wild raspberry,
Mm.
and like yeah, that makes sense. It's not blood, guys, just raspberries. Now, like there's like a little mention in the story about how the rose is like unwithering. It's like eternal, which I thought was really interesting. There's also like the rose itself. The rose is actually pink in real life, and from like what I look for it.
Yeah. There's a variety of
And
like,
also,
different
there's a reason
shades.
why. There's a reason why I put her Udimo here. I know it's a bad, yes, it's just a common bad. But did you know, after researching, I'm gonna tell you this. The entire Europe has only 35 species of bats. And 33 species, only 33 species are all in Bulgaria.
Oh my god.
Like, yeah, this character is so Bulgarian. Like you probably
Oh my
like
God.
be as surprised as I am when I read about it. It's like, what do you mean? There's like all of the bats are just in Bulgaria.
We're just chilling there.
That's insane.
Where
There are like 33 and 35 species in all of Europe, and 33 can be found in Bulgaria.
The two of them got
In
lost.
the Balkan. Bro, where is the other two? And this is the reason why I cannot pinpoint which bat is Rupushka. Because there's like 33 species, and I don't know which one is it. It's just like insane. Oh man. But like, yeah. Wow, I never thought, I genuinely don't know. I genuinely didn't know that Bulgaria has like that many species of bats spotted.
there's so
To be
many.
fair, now
Oh my God.
we didn't know a lot about Bulgaria when we started this batch. It's really cool.
No, not
No.
quite. We took so much time just to like research about it, and we're just like, wow, this character is so Bulgarian.
Yeah, I did research on Robusco in CN, right? This was months ago, and I had to specifically consult a certain person for this, just to be able to nail down, oh, where specifically is Robusca from?
Oh.
It,
Oh,
Yeah.
but they only mentioned that she's like at the border of like
yeah,
Serbia, I think, and that's kind of big.
yeah, that person, I will give him a shout out, Ian. That he essentially explained to me, at least, like there are so many things going on with Robusca's design that is so Bulgarian that he had to pull out an entire map of traditional
Yeah.
clothing.
I pulled up the map too. I had to pull up the map because of why do you have so much detail on one character? Holy! I was like, my back was like hurting from just like researching on this one character. It's just like, how? You
got
didn't
too much
even like
time.
design it in a way that it looks too much. She looks clean as hell. Her design is clean as hell. And but there's so much little details that is like been put on it. Like, yeah, I opened up the patterns already, just ready, just like waiting for Deimos to talk about Ian.
Like, I don't know
But,
how
yeah,
they do it. They have
okay.
so much inside their characters, like design, and yet at the same time,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like over designed. Like, you have to zoom in
Yeah,
for the details.
it's like, imagine me, I'm not Bulgarian. I am just a Thai person, and the fact that a Bulgarian person themselves have said that, why is this character so Bulgarian? Holy hell! Like, oh wow, that speaks so much level into like researching on one character. Oh man.
I will say, by the way, if Ian is watching from here, I will say thank you so much from that specific conversation months ago. I will say that. Like, this helped significantly with just this part alone, because oh my god, Ruby's got so much. It's insane. But
Okay,
again,
now I'm gonna talk about the character designs. I'm gonna gloss over the overall like concepts of both Rubushka and Corvus. Is that their concepts revolves around the crafts in Bulgaria, which for like Rubushka, you can see like the jewelry, the embroidery, which by the way, I went to look for it. The patterns is this, but it's basically the same thing, but like in reverse. I had to look so many patterns for Rubushka solely because her patterns are not only Bulgarian but also Serbia. You can see the like golden sheet of weave in like the style weave, because like in Bulgarian the patterns on the embroideries are more like cubism. They are more square, they are more pointy, but Serbia is more like swishy, like swoosh. You can see like this is like wheat being blown
like,
in the wind, and this is understandable with how we know Rubushka came from like near the borders of Serbia, and that's why they need to add like a little elements.
Well.
Yeah, they really have to. It's essential. And now I have like so many folders just to talk clothing. It's just like, okay, you grit your teeth and go with me, okay? I'm gonna be going to the next one. Just like, okay, the next one I'm gonna be talking about is the shadow puppets she has. This is actually a pattern, a well-known pattern actually, called the Horo. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right. I went and watched a documentary of a guy going to a museum in Bulgaria that is specifically for embroideries. It was a lot. just to like learn that okay, people dancing is like it's a pattern that is so in like the Balkans, in like Bulgaria also, that it has been there since clay pottery, like in the BCs. It has been there for like a really long time. So that the fact that Rubushka has like these, but in design as like shadow familiars, is so creative. I would give so many points for this. Because like the Horok being like changed into like a shadow puppets for her to control and dance is so creative. They could have just gone with the original, but no, they wanted to tell a story. They wanted to tell a story about a shepherd of shadows. Like, let's fucking go. I was so impressed when I was like researching this. And
Yeah, like,
now go for the next one.
Originally, I thought
Okay,
like I
you-
saw the things at the bottom of her like hem. I don't know clothing. I don't know parts of clothing. But like at the bottom of it, I thought like, that's an odd addition. But like, I thought it was like at least something from the region. Oh my god, it is. It's like every time I
Yeah.
see something from Rubuska, is this something from the region? Oh yeah, yeah, it makes sense.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like very specific. And also, I'm showing you these tassel. This tassel, you see the colors here. These are very important, by the way. These colors are specifically symbolism. Like there are symbols in embroidery in like Bulgaria. Okay, this is the Tree of Life. This pattern has a name. It's called the Tree of Life, and it has all of the colors, and all of the colors have meanings. I have to type this down because I would not be able to remember all of this. This is a lot. Like Rubushka is a character that is so Bulgarian. You can see this. She has the color of all the meanings. Like you see the gold, you can see the white on like the canvas. You can also see the green and the blue. Like this is all like red being for blood, life protection against evil and spells. Green being for like the tree of life itself and immortality. Yellow or gold being for the sun, light, purity, and mercy. This is very important to like Rubushka's character, especially in her character story. Blue being for like the sky, truth, trust, and angels. This was a surprise. I didn't expect this one. And white, it really depends because I was like researching this, and white is really depends on being like purity. Most of them being like purity and like truth. But in some regions, Bulgaria is really really big place, man. There's like a bunch of regions, and they have like different cultures too. In some regions, it's like wisdom and knowledge, infinity. But in Stranza was also mentioned by Rubushka and Corvus, so I have to like put in the Stranza region here. It's specifically symbolism for death, which is knowing Rubushka's character story. Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, it's the and like white space could mean really a lot of things. But
Yeah. Now we're going to the next one. Let's go. Before it's like okay, look at the headpieces. This is like in her character splash art, because the outfit, according to the story, is given to her by Ima. So these are like the headpieces with like the metal pieces, and that I put in reference with the real one. It's really interesting to be seeing that in like a stylized for like a gacha game. And there's not much to say about the headpiece, but this one specific thing, I have a lot to say.
oh my god.
When I was researching this,
no.
let me tell you what it is. This belt buckle is called a pafdi. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right or not, but this thing has a name. It was originally back in the day. It was like for men to wear as like in a military rank, and then after like the Ottoman Empire, it became an accessory for women in like a women's folk costume, which to be like a symbol for like guardian of like a woman. Yeah, basically, it's like being the symbol to like protection of women. But traditionally, it's only worn by married women because this belt buckle is supposed to be an engagement item.
Oh,
So,
you took it
knowing
from her mom.
so like knowing that Ima gave this to Rubushka had me like, Ima, wait,
Oh wait,
Ima.
this is I too?
Hold on. Yes, this is her I too.
Oh my god.
And it's the set of clothing Ima gave to Rubushka, and Ima just like secretly just slipped this belt buckle in with her. Like, can you imagine? Rubushka has no fucking clue because I mean she's probably really young to even know about engagement stuff. But Ima,
What is wrong
and
with
like
her?
with the story, okay, with the story that she received like gifts, clothing from like her uncle. This is mentioned in the story, but I would like to think that the belt buckle was like just Piros being like, okay, Ima, when you grow up,
Yeah, when you grow
One
older
day
and you
you'll
like
go-
someone.
yeah, when you're older, you're gonna find the girl of your dreams, and when that happens, I want you to give her this engagement belt buckle. And oh my god, that is something you should not be telling a 10-year-old. This is what happens when a 14-year-old found her first crush. She immediately gave her the engagement ring. Like,
I think it's even funnier
No.
that like Piros immediately clocked Ima as a lesbian.
yeah,
Oh my god.
he just like, okay, Ima, I'm gonna buy you this engagement item. I know you're going to be using it when you grow up. Ima, when she's 14 years old and found her first crush, immediately just gave her an engagement belt. Oh.
Oh my god. This
This-
is lesbian though. Like, this is
This
lesbian.
is so funny. When I was like reading this, I was like, Ima, what? But no, you like middle school. It's not that time yet, Ima. You only met her like an hour ago, I think. That's a little too quick. You can't just marry
It's love
someone
at
you just met.
first sight. You just gotta let it be.
She wants that cookie so bad. Like, can you imagine? Like, it's a good thing that Rushka only like wore the outfit when she was like in Ima's room, and then she just changed back to like her old outfit. Because imagine she just walked right out of the room, and I don't know, Kovus, who's like Bulgarian, sees it. It was like, wait, what? Ima, no.
Gonna immediately hemorrhage. Do you think when she
Like,
was like
she was
taking it
really,
off,
like-
it means divorce?
Oh my god, it's so funny. Like, it's like that one meme. You know that one meme where like the mom was like, "Hey, what you got there?" And the kid was like running a knife, but instead, the mom would just be running and say, "A wife."
Wait,
That's basically it. It's just like, no, no. It's too quick. You just met her like 2 hours ago. Immediately, she's just a wife. Oh my god.
It works
Yeah.
out in the end. They get to meet each other every day.
Yeah, they
Uh-huh.
get to meet each other. You know what? They'll get some time to know each other more. You know,
You know,
vampire
they'll
to
get
vampire.
time to
quote,
like
unquote.
red flag to show itself.
My god, okay, enough about the shipping of Shadow Ticket. Let's go with the next one, I guess. My god. Now, this one is like interesting because I put in the screenshot of like Lubushka's skill. which is this is still about the clothing, by the way. And I wanted to talk about the things that is not shown in the art, which is the red potion. In the story, it's called like the red potion or like a bottle of red liquid. And it's something that Rabushka drank and have her eyes turn red. But you see, in terms of like references, there's actually a reference for this. There's actually a really good reference for this. And it's actually from like the folklore for like Bulgarian folklore specifically, which is it's mentioned in like the vampire hunter part of the Bulgarian folklore, because there's like very few. I can barely find the folklore for like vampires in the Bulgarian folklore, but basically the Bulgarian folklore are known to be captured by vampire hunters by bottling them up in a bottle with blood. So this is, I think, is the inspiration for Robustia's skill and her items in her bag. Like, this is very specific to be like using like a potion and like visual, like you don't, I feel like you don't really need to have like Robushka use like a red bottle of like red liquid like blood if it wasn't like important to like the reference itself. Like she could just use like her shadow familiars, it would work. But because of like the specific part, they have to like change the story and make it about how she got her eyes red. And this is like the origin, I think, of the idea of her having the red bottle of like red liquid, which I think was really interesting. By the way, look at the signs. Let's go. You see the hands? The hands like being like the sign, peace sign. That is such a funny sign. Goofy ass sign. Okay, now finally I'm done with the clothing, which is like a lot. There's like 6 part of it.
Oh god.
Now to the part. The other part. Let's go. This is from the trailer. It's not that much,
Yeah.
but like I want to include it because this is about Rabushka and she has like an entire trailer song which is about Rabushka the first, and you can see the cathedral in Sofia. Yeah, like this is like, I think everyone just caught it immediately when they saw it, just like, yep, that's Bulgarian, right? And then you see the other part, the horror.
Yeah.
The dance, which is the folk dance. This is also in like holding hands and dancing in like this a specific dance, which I think they did really well with the live 2D animation, because it's really difficult to like animate into live 2D. There are some limiters. There are a lot of limiters actually to be like making rigs and stuff.
I also
Speaking from experience.
I also want to point out that like this specific dance is really, I suppose it's kind of common in a sense in a lot of places in Bulgaria, in a lot of regions in Bulgaria. But like it was explained to me that the dance is less found in the bigger cities, if I'm not mistaken, but it is done very often. So yeah, okay.
Oh, is this from Ian too?
Yes.
Okay, we have reference. So let's go. Okay, time to go. Okay, well, how many minutes was that? Because I am running like speed running on this one.
It's okay. I'm cutting this part of the video off. It's fine. So far it's 28 minutes in.
But
Jesus Christ. Oh,
let's go.
Shit.
Let's go.
Okay, time to go to Corvus, the train conductors of the story. And we're going to be going in with the silhouette as usual, because this is really important to the character design.
We love
You can see the silhouette.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is nice. This is the silhouette of the character you would be guessing. Ah, yes, this is a train conductress
Yeah, like
with
it's the
like the
hat.
coat. Yeah, with the hat
Yeah.
really tells. Like it's really important with the shapes and stuff, especially with the hair. I'm surprised that like they managed to do this really well. You see like the details. This is the simple part, and this is like the part with the coat and stuff, which is the more detailed part.
Like some white space over
Again,
that.
with the grounding part and also the detail parts telling the story, which I think is really good. This also goes with her I2 I2 art, which I'm gonna be doing this too. This is really good, like telling. This is really good storytelling. You can see the knitting, like you see the scarf, you can see the knitting, and this is very good storytelling on what the character is or like what they do.
Like from
And
the
now I'm gonna be going to this second part, which okay, wait. Before that, I wanted to like point out something that okay, you can see that this character concept is about trains. Yeah, yeah, you can see
Yeah,
trains. You can
trains.
see like, but
Mhm.
you can also see like knitting, the knitting part.
Yeah, stitches and all that.
And here's the thing, the knitting part is part of Bulgarian crafts. Much like how Rubushka's design has embroideries, and also the kaval, which is wood carving. Uh, that's like at least two of her design being based on like Bulgarian crafts itself, the arts. For Kovas, it's the knitting, which is part of the Bulgarian craft. Just the embroideries also, but more importantly, there are these on like her coat, the ecolet, which is actually another type of like knitting called like wool braiding. It's basically a very strong cord of wool being braided into pieces of like cloth, which is also a very specific Bulgarian craft. I thought it was really interesting.
Mhm.
And there's also like you already see like there's a reason why. Have you ever thought like why does Corvus have like a bunch of like stitches on her besides the story? Like what is the purpose of this character design? Like can you guess? I want y'all to guess.
Horror element, I guess.
Mhm.
You know, to the story, like ooh,
For the
scary
horror element,
conductress and that.
part. Yeah, partially. Yeah, kind of like Frankenstein monster, something like that. Partially, but it's actually, I think this is a theory, by the way, from what my understanding as like an artist, is that this character's concept is about, besides being about like uniting differences together, the Danube Dawn and all that, stitching things up together, it's also trains. Imagine this is the stitches. But if I told you this is a train track, you would understand.
Yeah, I mean, like that's how they symbolize it in maps sometimes.
Yes, this is how train tracks are drawn in maps. It's just like strings and like a bunch of like stitches like this, which I think is the reason why Corvus has to be like covered up in like stitches, which I think is really interesting. It's a really interesting choice.
Yeah, I think I think there was the one thing with her arms as well, right? Because
yeah,
on both of her, on the back of her hands, they are just like one line instead of multiple, and it's supposed to be like the ends of the lines.
The
I
terminus
suppose.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, okay, we already established that this character is all about trains. Anything. But so I went and looked for the train, by the way. I went to look for the fucking train. And I was so pissed that this train is not the same train as the Danube Dawn. And can you guess what train it is? It's the goddamn Murder on the Orient
Oh my
Express
god.
train. And I was like, "Are you
We're gonna be
serious?"
eternally haunted by the murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah. I was like so pissed that this is the exact same train. And it's not the Danube Dawn that is in her story. I'm like, why? This is what I think. I think like initially they have the literature reference for the patch as like the main concept. Murder on the Orient Express is the main concept for the event, and that's why when her splash art was done, they might have like did the backgrounds later for like the Danube Dawn itself. The Danube Dawn is an interesting case, but I will probably save that for like the part 2 because it is interesting in itself. But yeah, surprise, Murder on the Orient Express.
God, like it just. I mean, like maybe it's also a case of like maybe different artists and all that between backgrounds and splash arts, and the splash art artist thought, oh, this is a patch about the Murder on the Orient Express. I guess I'm gonna put the Orient Express over here and all that.
Yeah. Like, okay, we can see. I'm gonna be going speed up real quick. You can see she's in the train cabin. You can see, I'm assuming Istanbul, or also like the cathedral in Bulgaria. And also you can see the Udimo and also the knitting. So the Udimo, I went to look up the vouchers that can be found in Bulgaria, and I feel like it doesn't actually matches Kova's Udimo that much. But I feel like she might be like her Udimo might be like inspired by like 2 of the vouchers. The Cineres, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it right, and also the Griffin vouchers. And you can see like, because like Udimo is like really a hit or miss sometimes. Sometimes they don't base the animals on where the character is from, and then more so on based on what the character is about. So like in this case, it might be like something different. Also, I think people were complaining about how the character is named Covers, and for some reason she's not, you know, a Covers. She's not a crow. Vultures are not crows, by the way.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
It's totally fine, guys. We have bunny, but her Uimo is not a bunny. That's totally fine. We have that already. I want to say like this is like a little unrelated, but it's more like about the character themselves. I feel like the artist really likes the character because like you can see like all the knitting stuff and also the Masayoshika's doll from like Aima, which Kovos has like made like little outfits of. Like it's so charming to include something that is so personal about like the character itself into like the splash art. I really appreciate that. Now let's see. Here? Okay, I'm pulling this and we're going to the next one, which is, yes, this is me trying to pinpoint what is in the design close-up. You see this part is actually the time table schedule for like the train, which is really interesting to be put in, you know, inside of the code.
Yeah, okay. Code and all that. Like...
And also, this is the woolen, the wool braid thing. I think it's called like the gaitani. It's a really specific name. Like actually spelled like this.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm sorry, I have.
Do you mean gate or gay?
Like this. Yes,
Tanya.
actually just gay. So like that's why I have like spell it for you. You can actually look up. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting that they included this part of like the craft into like the character design also. And then we'll be having the other parts. Is the knitting, which is also part of the Bulgarian knitting crafts. So this character is so Bulgarian. Saying this again for Cobras. It's like, oh my god, this is so much into. Now time to go for the next one, which is the necklace on her I2 character art. You can see the train whistle, and also the beads. This is also like referencing the traditional like bead necklace. And you see like the colors. The colors are like the same as like the symbols for like in Bulgarian embroideries. Is that you can see the green, you can see the red, you see the white, you can see the blue. Like this is already been thought of when creating her character. And I'm going to go with the next one. And this is, if anyone remembers that one Twitter post that blew up because of the insane detail on the embroideries
Yeah, the embroidery.
of Corvus shirt.
Yeah.
This actually is like a pattern. It has a pattern from like the Tree of Life also, but it's like upside down. I have to like flip this upside down. You see like the patterns here. You can see the patterns here because this is probably like according to like creativities from like the artists themselves. And there's also the other part that I went to look for. This is from like one of those information board in the Museum of Bulgarian Embroideries, history of Bulgarian embroideries. I went to watch that video touring the museum. And this is basically the parts that I reckon. This is also like within the it evolved from like the pottery patterns also back in like Greece and stuff. It is like the cross is like very much everywhere, so this is why they have to like add it. And again with the colors, we are seeing the white, we are seeing the blue, the green, the red, and the yellow. This is still important to the crafts themselves. Now, there's like another thing that I wanted to talk about, and you can probably see like from the folder I'm clicking that is like just saying I. That is because of when there's a bit of like a discussion that I need to be talking that is not about Midnight Whistle, and it came from the fact that Corvus has like a bunch of eye patterns on her, and that is because this is something about the concept that has been I've seen in every patch, in every era of like the game. You're gonna be introduced with at least 3 characters of that era, and each of them will be having the concept of the eyes, the mouth, or the ears, the observer, the speaker, and the listener. This the quickest example would be like Vienna chapter. You can see Isolde. Despite being the singer, she's actually the listener because of her arcane skill. Her story is more about has been affected and shaped by her hearing the voices of the dead. And Marka's arcane skill being about observing and reading through her eyes and understanding the source. And Kakania, her real power is like empathy, like be for real. Because her power is in the words she speaks, and you can see that from how it affects the people around her. Like how she speaks affects Isolde, how she speaks affects herself or Marcus. And this another example you can see is also in the Apeiron chapter. I'm gonna be saying this like We have 6, the observer. We have 37, the listener, because when she went to hear the answer from Aperon, basically blasted her ears, she fell unconscious for that. And for the mouth, I think either Sophia or 210, it could be both. They can share concept. That happens all the time, because Sophia is the preacher. She became the preacher.
Yeah.
So that's probably like the
preaching
concept.
and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the concept. So that's why I think it's meant to be an eye shape. Because of how Corvus, if you have like seen in the story, Verity mentions she has always have like a keen eye for things, and that is because if you know, if you have read like a Tools interview, you know that the voice of Pandora Wilson, aka Verity, can actually turn invisible and leave only like a red lipstick mouth. So the fact that Verity can turn invisible and can still be seen by Corvus means she has a really, really good eye. Like Corvus has a really good eye, like from the start, even before she got Storm. And that is like being like integrated into her character. It's also affected like other characters that is supposed to be the opposite of, but I will not be going into that. But that is like one of the theories I have, and from my understanding. And the other one is it could also be the other pattern in our Bulgarian embroideries, that is the Katanitsa, which is the symbol for family, strength, harmony, and balance, which all of these fits Corvus. All of these fits Corvus to a T. And it could might as well be that. But also because of the main concepts of like characters in this game in general, that's why I had to like point that out too. It can be both. My character design, it can be both, and that's like totally fine. Okay, now, oh my god, I'm gonna say this. I actually took so much time just to research all this. Oh my god, it took so much time.
Oh.
It hurts my back just to be like up and reading all of everything about Bulgaria. And I didn't think they would add in so much to the point. I was like, oh my god, wait, there's another thing. I forgot. Wait, give me a moment.
Bulgaria spotted.
Bulgaria spotted.
Okay, like remember when I said that the characters carry the concepts of Bulgarian crafts? One of the crafts that I didn't mention because I didn't have the sprite at hand, besides the knitting and the wool braiding, is gunsmith.
Oh.
And Corvus does have a collection of guns. This character is so Bulgarian. Like she got the wool braiding, she got the knitting, she got the embroidery, she got like the accessories, the beads, and then she got the gunsmith. Oh girl, she got it all. She got so many references to the culture. I was like blown away when I was like doing research. Like, oh my, that's a lot.
Ibuska and Corvus are just trying to out Bulgarian each other.
Like
Somehow.
we are trying so hard just to like put all this together, to wrap in like a present, and the box is bursting. The box is bursting like Imus wardrobe when Pills gave her a bunch of clothing. Like,
Yeah, we're not
bro,
okay.
we are not okay. We have been insane for the past like days.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started this episode saying like we're so normal. We're not.
We are so normal. Oh my god. Now I'm also seeing like her main colors being like green, and also like white for like death, wisdom, knowledge, green for like immortality, and also like knowledge and wisdom. Like, yeah, well, okay. slow down, BP. I get it. Slow down, artist of chorus. Holy, that's a lot. Oh my god.
Alright.
We're not even talking about the copper. If this is copper, there's also like goldsmith and copper was specifically for like Bulgarian crafts. I'm not even sure if that's included or not. That's why there's like so many like yellow parts. It's just like, oh, yeah. You know what? I wanna finish my part so bad because there's gonna be a lot more in the second part. It's a lot. It's not just the characters. It's also the event itself, the design of the event itself. But you know what? Saving it for the second part.
Yeah. Aren't we all
I'm gonna be
dreading that
giving
there's
the
a
mic to
second part
Deimos.
to this?
Yeah, it's just like I'm gonna give this mic to Deimos. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
First episode then, and I'm already tired.
Yeah, we're so tired.
Yeah, don't worry about me. My entire thing is really short, I suppose. Alright. Now that I have the mic, it's really important that we now go into the themes of the story. Now, there's very few, I suppose, themes that I want to tackle, so just to give myself a bit of the peace of actually looking into it, but majority of it will be explained here. So the one thing I noticed in this story is that despite it being a horror, it's very important that the storytelling itself is very important. Like, how is that passed? How is the story passed to another person? How is this tale passed down by generations and all? And every story manifests in different ways. It's something so human, right? So, specifically going into horror first, well, horror is deeply rooted into the what ifs of the psychological and the supernatural. And it's in these what ifs where storytellers really explore the human mind, what used to be unexplainable phenomena, or even just like a simple way of to keep kids from encountering the real dangers, right? But it's also these stories, it's all of these stories will eventually lose its weight over time and over experience because people get older. People will understand things as they get older as well. Or, it's important. Pretty much it is important to just emphasize how storytelling is given throughout the entirety of the Midnight Whistle. So the entire world, of course, is built upon storytelling of the human experience, and it is no different when we find ourselves in war. So I want to firstly get into the vampires first. It wasn't explained as much in the beginning, but this is a lot more important now, right? So there is another vampire that was mentioned by Babushka, but I wanted to explain it here. And besides Dracula, here we have the Bulgarian, I think, Bulgarian or Serbian vampire Sava Savanovic. Sava Savanovic is a vampire who is one of the most legendary vampires in Bulgaria, and it is said his entire story centers around a mill, and Savanovic was once a miller, or so the story goes. But after his death, he became a vampire, and he haunted this mill, attacking anyone who dared to grind grain at night. And for generations, parents warned their children to stay away, especially after sunset. And this is important. Dracula's entire story emphasizes on Dracula himself as the horror, but then there's Savanovic who whose entire legend centers around a specific danger because of the mill. It has like an actual basis of culture and legend. So from there, we understand that's why we have him as like a central figure for um Babushka's story, I believe. And Babushka herself has so much story that she carries, and it is very clear that she is someone who carries like her entire culture in her heart. No matter wherever she is, she carries these stories with her. And not just these stories, but it's also about the vampires. And it is pointed out that um, the way Rubuska sees vampires, it's very different from how everyone else sees a vampire, right? Whenever you think of vampires, you think of Dracula first.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think of Dracula first, and then you have um, Dracula as this intimidating, scary figure, all of that. This
Yeah, ghostly,
monster.
ghouly,
Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, Rabushka's version of vampires are more like superheroes for kids.
yeah, because in her story, her family portrays vampires in such a positive way because it's how they pass on their own stories to her, and she sees it as a way to like what was it, to cope, yeah, not just to cope but also to like also share her own experience, I guess. But yeah, whatever.
How
But
how she becomes the storyteller
yeah,
role.
It's like
That's
a
her
method of
concept.
embellishment, I guess.
Like before this, I was like
Mhm.
saying like Corvus is the eye, Rabushka is the mouth, the speaker, the
Mhm.
storyteller.
She is the storyteller, and her stories, especially in this time of war, it gets everywhere. Like it's very clear from the start that she is like seen as this quote unquote legendary person to like kids, to
Yeah.
Annabelle, William, etc. To these kids
She's
that
the
okay,
cool kid. She's the cool kid
she's
in the class.
she's the cool kid. She can revive people. All of that. She talks about all these positive things about
Yeah.
vampires as a whole, but in a way that yeah, this is this is how she sees them, and it's so vastly different from how everyone else sees it. And then okay, I will go into like um this into the next thing, right? And it's how Rubuska's entire little story, how her own tale, how that applies, you know, how she copes, everything like that. And yeah, this is what I was saying. Her story gets everywhere to every breathing person because she wants she not only wants to portray vampires in this positive light, she also wants to give peace to not only to herself and also to the families that are grieving during this war. And so she gives them peace by giving this facade. Well, it is a facade, and yet it's not like Rubuska herself wants to be able.
It's more like
It's
puppeteering, but like shadow puppeting, basically.
yeah, yeah, her whole thing is shadow puppeteering, but she wants to portray it as revival to give like a little bit of hope to people who are
Yeah.
grieving, and she achieves that really well in her story, and we see how that even is carried over to the present day. So now we have, you know, now we
Ah yes. Ah yes.
have
The CG.
Of course.
Let's go.
yeah, her, it's like how her story, how her culture, her own story starts to show in like people outside and people who have not seen it before, who have not had to experience whatever Rubu's got to go through or whatever anyone in her vicinity had to go through. So we have Ima, and Ima is a vampire herself. We know this. I'm not gonna really spoil the warning for that, but
Like you
like
checked.
um we checked, and it's a really interesting parallel, I suppose, where
Oh yeah, their design is like a direct parallel. We have a vampire larper, like basically a arcane is pretending to be a vampire who's like travel all over the places, and basically it's a stray cat. And then we have Princess Ima right here, who's actually a vampire pretending to be an arcanist.
yeah,
And also is a listener of stories. She loves listening to the story, especially what the storyteller here wants to tell.
Listener
it's
Pixie
so
Yeah. We have collected three of the concept. The listener, the third one.
Yeah, and it's so important, right? That Ima is listening to the story with full intention of listening, because this is reality gets shoved into Raguska's face quite fast, somewhat, throughout the entirety of the Midnight Whistle. But then there's Ima, not just Ima, of course. We have the kids as well, but we have specifically Ima here, who wholeheartedly wants to let herself believe, at least in, or at least support Ruby here. And like, okay, there is one last detail. This is something that I was asked to point out by someone in this podcast, of course. So you see this? How do I explain this?
It's a cultural thing. You have to like, how do you pronounce it even? I
It's
don't even know how to pronounce it.
the way it is pronounced, at least in, as I checked the IPA, this is a Maritza, and this is a I'm trying to remember what it is.
It's like a tradition.
Yeah, it's a traditional item, which it's either for engagement or for marriage or for courting. It's like just romance or like courtship in general. And then it's important to note that the two dolls have to hold hands, right? And then you see this, and then you look at the other, you look at this little tidbit of the CG, and you understand.
And also, this is like really important because like in the character story of Rabushka, by the end of the character story, Hopus gave like the kids gifts, and one of them is a white shawl for Ima. White is Ima's color, and Rabushka gets a red cloak. Okay, red knitted vampire cloak.
So
like she has already chosen the colors for the kids. Okay, white and red. Like yes.
Of course.
Yeah,
red.
that is.
It's so okay.
It's like that one image is like, my daughter likes him. He looks a little gay, but whatever makes my princess happy.
That one me.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly, that's me.
It's really funny, right? And I want to talk, like, in regarding culture, right? I still want to talk about another character. There are a lot of characters I'm gonna go through here, just really quickly, right? We have Rubiska in all of her stories, all of this make-believe, and yet she carries them like a heart on her sleeve because she wants to tell them in the way that she wants. She wants to shed a sort of light of hope to people and everything, as long as she is able to give that to herself too. And then we have Samawise. I wanted to put Samawise here because it's important to note that Samawise is despite being somewhat main character, somewhat side character, I cannot tell. It's important to know that um, Samawise entered the story leading to confirm the authenticity of a story. Now, Samawise herself is extremely detached from everything. She is from the modern age. She is from the actual. She is someone who came from like before the first storm. So a lot of everything she knows about every story she's picked up, everything that she's gone through since that storm, all the storms even. Um, it's hard for her, or at least it's a lot easier for her to like discern reality and fiction. And
Mm.
it's important to note that this is she detaches herself from the entire narrative because it makes her see the full picture so much easier. It makes her and I found it really interesting because of that difference between how Robuska, who is part of this one era, who is a victim of war and is coping with carrying all of these stories, while we have Samawise, who is more information oriented and more grounded in reality because of the modern setting. It's a bit of a contrast, but it's interesting how it plays out despite the little time they have with their relationship between each other.
Yeah,
Pretty
this is
much.
basically like Professor Layton and the little assistant are basically the same thing.
Basically the same thing. Now, um, how do I put this? Now that we have culture over, we have the next thing. The one thing I also noticed in this kind of storytelling is that um, it's very important to keep in mind that um, age and social class are very important to keep note of with how different characters tell stories and how they convey their own little tales. So, as a result, right, we have Annabelle first. Now, Annabelle is a kid. She's clearly a child, and this is how she um explains her own little story in this trail. Um, but it is the way that she sees the world, right?
Mhm.
She sees the world in such an innocent way as well, despite being a child of high class and also a child of um who is trying to run away from war. She doesn't know what's going on. She barely has an idea that there is something horrible going on in her home. But
Yeah.
she knows that it's bad. She knows that it's going to hurt people. So this is how she conveys those stories, and it's important that she it is important that she believed in Lubuska throughout the entire time that they met, because again, anchor and um Annabelle herself, again, child, middle class, high class or middle class, and running away from war, and she is a child. Now we immediately contrast this, right, with
Mhm.
um you remember in stage one we have
Yeah.
Rubuska
The old man?
talking to Verity, and then the old man chimes in,
Yeah.
and you see this little bit of dialogue
Mhm.
from the old man.
Yeah.
No, not precisely, but many like it. Vampires, werewolves, wild beasts, and monsters. Etc. etc. You're young, you'll grow out of these tall tales soon enough. And this is the perspective of a man who has lived an entire life, and he is now getting thrown into supposedly another war. And he has a largely bleak outlook of how things are going. I didn't
Yeah,
put this here.
he's been tamed by life basically.
Yeah, he's been taken by life, and I didn't add this in, but he also uh told Robuska something, right? He told Robuska something towards the whole skirmish between Sonia and that one guy that got ran over by the train.
That one
Um,
guy.
the old man, verbatim, he points to he points to all of the people on the train, in the train station, going like, you see all these faces, you see all these people trying to run, and all of them are going hungry just to get on this train. What do you think of them? And it's really interesting because that's absolutely a different perspective, and it highly contrasts what Annabelle has said, and not only what Annabelle has said, but also Ibuska had just talked about, which is the story of the vampires. And then lastly, there's not a lot for me to find, but there's also Sonia, the old woman. I couldn't find a good picture of her, um, a good screenshot of her. But like, she's also just as um
High
what was
class.
it? Yeah, she's also high class, but she's also like a lot more stubborn, I suppose.
Like disconnected
And
from the situation.
She's at that age now.
she's a lot more detached, right? And
Yeah,
it's
she's at that age.
she's not that. How do I put this? It's also a huge contrast to how she reacts to all these situations, and she at first doesn't want to believe that, okay, vampires are real, whatever, because she has to get to Budapest. She has to get away as much as possible, and yet she also is, and yet the moment the truth is revealed to her, she starts gradually breaking heart that heart shell starts to break away until the moment that Ima brings in the bag of guns. But
Just give me a
it's
gun at this
in
point, sure, why not?
why not?
Yeah,
We
it's
have to
just
kill
like,
people
oh,
anyway.
that scene was crazy. You know what? I
It's
like the comedy aspect of this event. It was fun.
yeah, and yeah, ultimately the storytelling among these people are so interestingly diverse, I suppose. Um,
Yeah, because like
because
you have
mm,
kid from low class, kid from high class, old man from I would say middle class, and then old woman from high class.
Oh my
mhm,
god, it's like that. Remember that one scene at the beginning of Murder on the Orient Express, where the guy, the Nepo baby guy, talked about how we just imagine all these different people, like just
Of different like
and
backgrounds,
it's
different nationalities, going from one place to
yeah,
another.
just
yeah,
like in one place. Like that's basically the concept of this event, also.
That's the concept
Just
for
yeah,
generally all train stories, in my opinion, and like how you put some of the most random people together, and the only thing keeping like they have in common is the need to go from one place to another.
yeah,
yeah. In this case, they need to stay alive and not die from vampire attacks, like a zombie
yeah.
apocalypse. But yeah,
Hmm. And yet there's still and yet every belief still clashes because of the way they see the world. It's really important to keep that in mind this because we still have all these perspectives to go over, and we have to unravel each of the layers to like completely get to this uh a center point once we reach the climax of the story. Okay, now we have the last one. I put this a story. I put the last thing as the context of war, and there's only one character that I can just explain here, right? And it's Pyros, I think. Um, there's Pyros himself is a soldier, was a soldier for the Liberation Front, and Pyros has gone through so much. He has been beaten by people, like been tortured, nearly died, and he was given like this bit of salvation towards his death because someone spoke to him in a way to give him something he wishes for. Like
Oh, Menace
obviously,
Vindictive.
of course, man is vindictive. He does get that wish, of course, and like many other tales, that wish comes with the monkey paw curling, I suppose. You know, he gets he gets one entire family again, and yet he is forced to like lose them again because of the circumstances he found this family again. He almost lost Ima too, right? He almost lost Ima because Ima was dying
Yeah,
from her own wounds, and he did everything to get to her. So
yeah. It a lot went uh for him to end up in the decision and shape him into like the person he is now. But I think like there's a
mm,
lot about Manage Vindicate also because like Corpus
yeah,
and Ima were like they were like talking about how your Uncle Piros used to be different. Suddenly he's not like that. It's probably something to do with the plot.
and yeah, it has to do with like how this story of um salvation is told to him, and how now it's influenced the way that he thinks, right? So now we have his confrontation with Robuska here, and we have him going, "Oh, those legends were merely that, not the childish forgeries, just like the little vampire." And this is obviously the scene where he got stabbed in the chest with a stake. And
Honestly, what is with every adult in this event bullying Rabushka? Every single adult just bullies this girl. Like, what?
yeah, and like right, this little tidbit of him having the truth in his hands because he himself is a vampire. He is someone who's gone through everything because of the
He himself
stories.
is an adult, basically.
Yeah, he's gone through these stories, and he's gone through all of the consequences of those stories that if they are believed too much, right? And then it's in this scene that he contrasts Rubuska's um whole entire belief. He clashes with it, where he goes, "Yeah, no, that's not how this works. Obviously, it's a shame that Rubuska will not want to know the entire truth about his idea of vampires and who they are." Um, what was the last part as well? See, and this is what I was talking about too, right? With Manus Vindicte spewing all these little stories to Pyrrhus, he also eventually gets influenced, especially that he has suffered through so much losses and war and death. Obviously, he starts to believe them as a way to get out, as a way to not only save himself but save, in his eyes, save the people he cares about. He want like ultimately he does want to save people, but through these stories he is not only led to a trap, he is also led to something he never would have wanted in the first place. So
I feel like
ultimately,
there's a theme here with
mm-hmm,
the three characters, Rabushka, Corvus, and Pyrrhus, is that each one of them are some kind of like shepherd character, savior characters,
mm-hmm,
and they have their own ways of saving people. Like with Corvus, she's basically uh smuggling refugees from
Yeah,
the
like
war into her
reading
train.
between the lines of the
mm-hmm,
law and all that.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
everything.
Rabush,
Mm-hmm,
yeah, and Rabushka is like saving people with her shadow familiars, the grieving, the people who are like affected by death,
mm-hmm,
especially.
mm-hmm. Everything, all the lines start to blur, especially all of them have like this one singular goal in mind, which ultimately is saving people or giving hope to people. And and unfortunately, Pyros has gone down the, the more extremer path
Yeah,
of
a bit of the
his way of
extreme
Yeah,
thinking
route.
he
because
was
of
just like
unexpected.
he basically just chose like, okay, I'm gonna force you all to convert to vampirism, and I'm not gonna ask like any consent that anyone wants to convert to vampirism or not.
The only person he asked consent for is Babushka herself. And like even
And
then,
Rubushka's like, no, this is not vampires. Like,
this is not
this is bad.
It's not
this
the
is not
vampires I grew up with.
obvious. Yeah, this is not the vampires I grew up with. And yeah,
Pyrrhus gonna
we're
have a
now
hard
here.
time understanding that consent is king.
And yeah, ultimately we fall in the end here, where bottom line, all of these, the entire like a huge theme of the Orient Express or just train stories in general is that we have all these different perspectives and we see them start to merge into one singular story and with one singular start and end, both figuratively and literally because trains. And yeah, hopefully I will see. Hopefully there will be more I could say in like the next part, but ultimately this is like majority of the themes that I did want to go into as much.
Yeah, the themes are
Um,
like different stories of different people crammed up in like one train going to like one destination.
yeah, we all owe it to the train, obviously.
Yeah, it's like a
Oh,
weird
to the
unity
train,
of
sure.
people, and yet through their different experiences and
Mm-hmm.
like their different perspectives and all that, it all coalesces into this one singular thing. You know,
Mm-hmm. Just getting from one place to another. All right,
in some
okay.
way that's
Last thing.
unity, and in some way, Pyrrhus's like intended like view of unity is more warped of that.
Thanks to, say it again, Manus Vindicte. Okay.
No, we are
So,
not thanking Manus Vindicate.
of course. Anyway,
No.
there's one last thing I want to point out, okay? This is something I forgot to add in. But like, going back to the point of age and social class, or specifically social class, um, remember we have the 13th train car, and
Oh,
the
like
thir-
refugees.
and they're full of refugees who all escaped the war and now only carry the clothes on their backs as well as the weapons given to them by the militia. And yet, um, they also have this kind of assumption too when both the higher classes meet with um, the lowest of the low, right? And even the refugees go, what if, right? What if they snitch on us? What if they tip us off, and get us sent back and everything? And yeah, it all comes down to still uniting for just to fight like one singular cause, one singular goal in the end.
I
Because
mean,
they're still, you know,
that's understandable. If vampires are like knocking on my door, I would be like, I mean, either I die or I just fight.
it's e- it's either I die immediately or I'll have
I,
a
I
bit
don't
more time left.
I don't think you're gonna die immediately because of vampires because it's like don't vampires are like I don't know kind of crazy with the eating part, blood-sucking
True.
part.
I mean, like
That is true.
from the looks of it, they kill and then they drink.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I
In the
mean,
con-
sounds
in,
painful.
in the context of the mid of this story, I think it was like maim, then kill, then eat. So,
Yeah, I
especially
was like, I would
because
rather not die.
I'd rather not.
I mean, like, I'd
Really not.
rather die than be a blood bag and then slowly die.
Oh, that's bad. That's
That's
worse,
bad.
actually.
Some voice. It's some voice. Anyway.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, all these stories converging into one singular thing, and it's something I believe that is so important and so human. Um, in the end, right? A lot of these stories I did find, all these anecdotes I did find, they were all in the trails. It was very interesting. It was a very interesting choice to put like a trail every almost every stage. To get a trail for almost every
Yeah,
stage, and
I
that's
really
just
know.
how I transcribed it.
It was like all of them were so long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yet it's so interesting because it's formatted in such a specific way. It's I think I was getting this vibe that okay, this is kind of like Dracula as well because Dracula's entire thing is that it's a collection of um
Ah, yes.
newspapers, documents, etc.
Yeah.
I like the formatting.
It's
of
a
Dracula.
it's a style of storytelling where you get like pieces of information from other things, and it's really
Oh.
interesting in the OG Dracula.
Yeah, it's like the anecdotal kind of stories that start to converge into one singular collective idea.
Oh yeah. Um, I'm surprised you haven't like mentioned this, but like the theme of
Mhm.
this entire event being about like coming together for one single cause to unite, and you
Yeah.
have still haven't mentioned Christmas.
Oh
Oh my
yeah, Christmas. Yeah, Merry
This
Christmas, of
is
course.
the Christmas event.
Well, to be fair, right, it's as like as an in joke between the devs and now the fandom, right? It's the in joke that every horror event goes into
Yeah.
Christmas in global, but then there's NCN, which is also like a spiritual event, I believe.
It's in
That's what I wanted
September,
to
I
point
think.
out. Yeah, it's in September, and of course, September has the horror events for CN, so like technically, it came as like a
I mean,
passing
we're
thought.
splitting the 50-50, you know? We're gonna split the
Yeah,
50-50.
Yeah, I
yeah,
would say though that this Christmas is a bit too bloody for my taste.
yeah, yeah. But now we're at the end, obviously. So now we're we're pretty much here now. Um,
Oh my god, that's a lot, huh?
that's, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Um,
We
yeah,
Good
went
thing
on
I
for
cut
way
all
longer
of
than
the
we
ugly
expected,
sides.
and honestly, I don't think we expected it to end honestly.
all right.
It's oh, thank God I cut like only focus on like two characters because the other parts of the designs are a lot.
Yeah.
But we'll
Okay.
be
I'm gonna.
getting to
I
that
know I
next
said
time, it's fine.
I know I said this
It's,
so many times, but
uh,
holy moly!
But yeah, like
you have to
aside
put this
from
as
that,
like
like oh my gosh, there's um there's really a lot in
Moment.
the story in it. Like we're I wouldn't say
It's
we're
just like, oh
scratching the
man, we really
surface.
just do all that.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't say we're scratching the surface. We're a bit under the surface. You know, we're in the dermis and all that. But it's already been quite a bit. You know, I think we should stop it
yeah.
there. First,
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much for spending all that time. Both of you and myself as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess that's about does it for
Yes.
part one.
This is
Yeah.
hello. This is part one. You're listening in, and we will be continuing in part two because you
Yeah.
can already hear my exhaustion from like researching.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like, oh.
insane, right? Um, do I have to mention how you did all the research? Like, okay.
I did so much research. I watched the documentaries. I read the articles. I was like, you know what? This is like disease. This is basically just disease.
Yeah.
I've
At this
done that
point,
before.
yeah, pretty much at this point for me personally, I feel like I should just give up a lot of my time for like UV section the next time we're doing this. So
Uh,
But that's
there's
fine.
not,
it's totally fine. I understand.
We're figuring
It's
it
yeah.
out.
because a lot. It's a game, you know. It's a game, and we talk about the visuals, what we see when we play it. And as like a game dev myself, it's like I need to talk about the things that sometimes, a lot of times, people do not see that we have thought about this. Should we put it in here? There is a purpose of why it is designed like this.
And like especially since considering like you know how it appears to be that Lupak like overthinks more than us. Somehow they beat us.
Yeah, we are not thinking enough. We are not thinking enough as Blue Paw, and we're just like, man, am I stupid?
Yeah, it feels like that sometimes, but at the same time, it's so good. Like, it's finally piecing everything together. Very slowly, of course, but you know.
Yeah, we're just
Um,
like slowly, we're just like, wait a minute, this is a connection. This makes sense actually. If we look at it in this way, something like that.
yeah, Reverse has a lot of creative freedom. It has a lot of creative freedom. I didn't notice this. It's so interesting. But of course, you know, we have to end it here, and we have to move every other thing to the next part, right?
Yep. We have a
Hell
lot of
yeah,
creative
we
freedom
should
to move
end it
this
here.
forward. But
Of course.
just generally, aside from thanking both of you, thank you very much for of course listening to this. It's quite a daunting task for all of us to be doing all of this and then presenting it and just having it be in a succinct manner. And well, I appreciate you for going through with 2.5 hours of this almost. And you guys have any other comments?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm. Can I go first? Just like quickly.
Hmm?
I
Mhm.
still can't believe we did all of this because wow, that's a lot of work to have been done, and we're just doing it because we want to.
Oh, yeah.
We don't care about anything else. We're just like, you know, this would be a really cool idea if we just talk about the things we're passionate and like expert has an expertise in.
Yeah, it's like we want to like inform the people, of course, about everything about this, and we are going to go into so much detail that it might it might be a bit mind numbing at first, but hopefully, uh, you
We'll
know,
get through it,
I
you know?
we'll get through it.
Yeah, you know, here's to Christmas holidays, and here's
Mhm.
to a very scuffed first episode.
Yeah,
And here's
and
to
also,
many more episodes to go.
mhm,
Let's go.
yeah.
Alright, we're ending it here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much once more. And we will see you when we finish the next part. Bye bye.
Oh my god, that's a lot.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, bye.